You're listening to the Ringer NBA show presented by FanDuel. America's #1 sportsbook is the best place to bet on the NBA because not only does FanDuel have all your favorite player props, but now you can even check out stats and recent performance trends right in the app before you make your picks. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today to get in on the action. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com.
It's poppin'. Real ones. Logan, Murdock here, Raja Bell there. There's been a grand total of 35 minutes of troubleshooting to get this show on the road, and I don't even know if we're going to be able to do it. Like, we'll see. We'll see how we can get through an hour of this. How you doing, Raja? Raja Bell's here.
Yeah,
he doesn't have his Bluetooth headphones. Like, he's stuck in the Stone Age today. We were both late. What the hell?
I don't know, man. It's just, it's all good. I mean, I'm good. Sometimes, you get off to a rocky start. Some of the best games come from those rocky starts. I said this to you pre-pod. I will just reiterate. The more people you have in your house, at a younger age, the more things get fought over. And in this instance, in our house, we're in a time frame of fighting over charging cubes. And it's become like
how many cubes did you have already? How many cubes did you accumulate over the years in your house right now?
Well, they changed. So now they don't have. Now it's like over the course of time, who knows, hundreds. But like now they don't have the old USB one, right? Like so, it's like what do they call it? The C or whatever.
USB-C.
So right. So now it's become like a cloak and dagger game of like you'll hear somebody you think you hear somebody in the kitchen, and you turn around, you're like, "Yo, who's in there?" Nobody's in there, right? Nothing's missing to the naked eye. The fucking chargers are all gone, right? So like I came in today, my charger was out of my computer in my office. Don't come in my office. Don't come in here.
Yeah.
Do that shit out in the kitchen, all you want. Go in each other's bedrooms. I don't give a shit. Don't come in my office and take my shit.
You know what that means, right? They're going to go in your office and take the shit. That's literally what's going to happen. Speaking of not taking any shit, the Golden State Warriors. We got Ben Cruz on the call, so I gotta gas up the Warriors right now. Warriors take a 3-1 lead over the Houston Rockets, going back to Houston for Game 5. I don't know if you watched this game, or the full extent of this game last night. I'm sure you watched it this morning. It was so long, Raja. We need to legislate some sort of time limit for reviews. There were so many reviews in the second quarter. It fucked up the flow. I feel like the second quarter of that game was like 7 hours long, and there was technical fouls galore. It's become a physical series. We're going to talk about the physicality of the playoffs in a minute, but let's just talk this, man. Is this series over in your eyes, or are we headed back to the Bay Area? Like, where do you see this series going? Because I feel like on one hand, the Warriors have kind of figured the Rockets out, but they're old. And so, I was talking to Draymond after the game, and I asked him, I was like, yo, how important is it to, get this Game 5 out of the way to, get you guys some rest? And he was like, it's not the end of the world if we lose. He said, you want to win a closeout game. It's not the end of the world. And I'm like, kind of want to get this done. But how do we feel? Where do you feel going back to Houston with this series?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it goes back to the Bay personally. I do think, for all intents and purposes, the series is over, but I think it ends back in the Bay in Game 6. I think Houston will have a good shot, and I'm not guaranteeing it, but I think they'll have a good shot at getting, Game 5 on their home court. They were right there. They're the team that we thought they were.
Yeah.
In terms of, their game, they scrap. They don't appear to be afraid, but they're very inconsistent offensively. They're missing an alpha or a number one. I mean, Şengün's an alpha, but you're missing a consistent number one that can help you close games in a way. And they are getting beat by experience in a lot of instances. So they're who we thought they were. The series, yes, over, but not in the next game, more than likely.
Every time I watch the Rockets, I love them for three and a half, maybe to 3 3/4 of the game. But like you said, they just don't have a dude. They don't. I mean, even when Şengün had the ball, which he got a great look, but like it was like it's probably not going in. You know, like you just don't trust anyone down the stretch. There's a lot of role guys that are playing outsized roles in this series. But one of the things that I do want to ask you about, and this is not just for this series in particular, but just as a whole, what do you think of the physicality of this series and beyond in the playoffs? Because there's been a lot of complaints about physicality in this series and also beyond. You talk about the Celtics and the Magic, where Jalen's talking about how if they don't get this corralled, we're going to have a real fight. And I'm just like, this seems like a throwback to the 2000s, and I kind of like it, right? There was a play last night, Raja, that I think you'll appreciate. There was a scuffle between I think it was Dillon Brooks, Eason, and Draymond Green, and there were just 3 techs. It was Dillon Brooks, Steph, and Draymond Green, and there was 3 technicals. There wasn't like it was like, all right, go about your business. And then the 2, like I think it was a few possessions later, Draymond gets ripped, gets into it with Eason, flagrant and technical. We're not kicking anybody out. You guys are going to have to live in this mud a little bit. Yeah. But what have you thought about the physicality overall in these playoffs? Is it a pro, or are people going over the line right now?
No, I mean, here's what happens. I like it. I've already told you I like physical basketball. I think, historically speaking, we all expect a more physical brand of basketball in the playoffs than we get in the regular season. But I'm here for physicality, period. Where the problem comes in is you've stripped so much of it out of the game in the regular season that guys aren't accustomed to that. Like they're not used to playing in that, and it throws them off of their spot to some of the guys that are the beneficiary of not being able to touch them most of the times. So, that's all it is. It's what you've become accustomed to versus what you're getting. And so now you're getting a much more physical brand of ball. They're allowing people to do and take a few more liberties than they did in the regular season or traditionally do in the regular season. And some people are bent out of shape about it. But, I think personally, I like it. I think that Houston, interestingly, has gone overboard with it. Your game plan clearly was to come in, be physical, try to chop the legs out from an older, Golden State team. Except now you're into the head games with the physicality. Now you're into Draymond space. He wins in that space. Once you cross the line, and it's like anything, right? There's a fine line you're walking. There's a real balance between like being really physical, being the aggressor, taking a shot at Steph whenever you get a chance within the confines of the rules, and now crossing that line, and I'm into some shit with Draymond every 5 seconds.
And it's in your head now, because you're saying that with Dillon Brooks a lot.
You've lost composure now. But that's why I said Draymond wins in that game. Like you've let him take your superpower and flip it on you. And so,
with all due respect, like Draymond lives in the mud, and I say that so respectfully. You're not gonna get in there with him. That's his domain.
He's experienced, and even if you're good at it too, he's more experienced. He's won championships doing it, and so you want to stay out of that. You want to keep it clean. Teams that clean in terms of we're going to be clean but physical. And we're not going to get caught up in every single exchange with you guys. We're going to go about our business. If we hit you and you don't like it, you can bark and you can act a fool, but I'm not participating in that with you. I talk about bandwidth a lot and mental capacity, and it holds true when you are a younger team without experience. There's only so much bandwidth you have cumulatively in these games. There's only so much concentration level you guys have as a collective in these games. And if you're spending as much of it as you are on fucking around with Draymond, you don't have enough to beat them.
I'm just like, this even from personal experience, arguing with Draymond, just even about anything, is an exhausting task, right? Because he's one of those guys that when he digs into a position, he is right in his mind no matter what, and he's not going to let up. And it's very annoying and taxing. So I can only, and that's just innocent locker room conversation. So I can only imagine how it is on court, right, where he's totally in his element. And you have, like, to your point, you have seen that a lot with this Rockets team. And I remember being in Houston right before the series, and it was very clearly like with the Rockets, they had this air of confidence, but it was youthful confidence. And I feel old saying this, but it was youthful confidence where you look at them and you guys don't know what the hell you're getting yourself into. Like, I appreciate it. I love it. I love the blind ignorance is bliss confidence, but you have no idea what you're about to face. And I feel like that the Rockets are learning that lesson over and over again as the series goes on. And it's a good lesson to learn, right?
No,
like, I think they're doing a great job considering the circumstances. They could have won last night. It could have been 2-2 very easily.
Very easily. And this is exactly where they should be. Like, you're learning these lessons on the fly. This is your first time, as a group in this situation. Like, who better to teach you how to navigate like these ropes than a Golden State team that's been through it over and over again? And so I'm not throwing, any shade. This is purely like me looking at what they're doing and having, some answers, sitting here from behind my desk. But this is where they should be as a team. Yeah. Like, despite the fact that they're 2 and Golden State's 7, you're early to the party, so to speak, if you're Houston. This is house money. You want to win the series, but as much as anything, you want the experience to bank, so that the next time you're up to bat, and we've done a little work on the roster, everyone's grown, we know what we're dealing with. You're in the ring right now with an old fighter that just knows how to pin your arm down and hit you with the rabbit punch. Like, they know all of the little things that are going to get you tilted in a way that you can't just, manhandle them the way you want to. And they need to come out in game 5. Don't say shit. Continue to be physical. Continue to take your opportunities, but don't get into the back and forth. Here's the other thing I'll say. You talked about that play where all three got techs, and then 2 minutes later, Draymond and Eason are into it, and they give out a tech and a flagrant.
Which very well could have been an ejection, though.
Yeah, I don't love that. I don't love when we start doing that, right? Because while I don't want to see anyone kicked out of the game if they don't deserve to be, you can make a case that when you're into one of those, they always give double techs, and you deserve to be. I'm not going to
lie. Most of press row was like, oh, fuck, Draymond's out of it, and he just fucked up a whole game for them. And honestly, going into the second half, we thought that Draymond mucked up the game enough to where, he fucked it up for everybody. He just fucked up the flow. I think that's another conversation to have right there about, as the playoffs wear on, because I think me and you both agreed that the Warriors are going to move on in this series, so just assuming that is the case. Going forward, Draymond needs to get a handle on his emotions right now. And I know that's a constant thing that we keep saying throughout his career, but I think it's even more pertinent in this postseason because he is over the line in a way that is and he's over the line in a way that is scary. Sorry, Ben Cruz. But not even just that. His level of importance to this specific team is at an all-time high. They need his passing. They need his defensive prowess because they just don't have bodies like that in the front court. And I feel like he is towing a line. Like that Eason play. He got ripped. At a normal play, just run back down the floor and just go play some defense. No, he dragged him down. He fucking...
No,
it was so egregious.
That happens on every single play where he goes to the ground. I don't... Every play.
Yeah, bro.
But I agree with you, and he's always walking that line. It's the line that we talk about all the time. But that's what gives him that edge and that superpower. That's part of what gives that team an edge. So he's got to walk the line. What Houston doesn't have is the guy, right? And the guy commands a different level of treatment from the refs as it relates to his back and forth with Draymond.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a bigger guy, a bigger personality, a bigger star than Draymond, now those situations are way more precarious for him. Because
Draymond's out here getting superstar treatment in the playoffs right now. In this specific series, he's getting superstar treatment.
And that's okay. But that's how this works, right? So not only the treatment of the star on the other team, but again, we're talking about Draymond walking this line the same way I talk about Houston walking this line, and Houston allowing Draymond to take them over the line. Well, the better player, when Draymond can't get at him with the antics, when Draymond can't move him off of his spot with the bullshit, it typically would be way more likely that Draymond will cross the line at that point, right?
Yeah.
So he does have to, he knows it as well as anybody. Like all of us that play that role know it. We got to get as close to the line as we can and pray we don't go over that mofo.
All I'm going to say before we get to the next segment is there's going to be a potential that the Warriors play against Minnesota, who has Rudy Gobert.
Oh, I'm here for all of that. I'm here for every bit of what that is.
Hey, Raja gonna pour some of that yak and watch some hoops.
Oh, but you're not even talking about. I mean, Rudy,
Ant,
and
let's give respect to the Lakers
Randle,
too, right?
Julius Randle. I mean, I know I'm not saying that they're going to beat them. I'm just saying, like, if that should come to fruition, the amount of people that would be willing to get into the shit with Draymond is, I mean,
the thing is though, I want to give respect to the Rockets. They do have people that will get in Draymond's shit, like, but they just don't have the backing of the referees in that sense, right? Like if they get into Draymond's shit, like it's Eason who is still trying to find his way into the league, right? Amin Thompson, who's trying to find his way into the league. Dylan Brooks, who is a crash out right now and is who he is at this point. So he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt of calls. And it's going to be interesting, man. I don't know. It's just, even if the Lakers make it, right, you're going to have Luka and LeBron, right? If the Lakers somehow, which I just don't know if they have the legs on that one. We'll talk about Luka in a second. But, yeah, man, I don't have a segue for this next one. It's just sad.
No, but let me just add one thing to this series, if you would allow me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, Jalen Green, for as good as he can be at times, it's not enough. And I'm not. It's not a blame thing. This is exactly where Houston would find themselves. This is what we were saying about them earlier in the season coming into the playoffs. Like, they got to have a guy that you can pencil in for 22 a night, like 23 a night. You know, and they need that, and it's glaring because Jalen just hasn't been able to find it consistently in this series, right? And they need someone. Sengun is fantastic, but they need someone to go along with that.
I watched Jalen Green, and I'm like, damn, he's going to be a great sixth man in about 5 years. Just incredible. You know?
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to his game in any way, shape, or form, but you know, when he's rocking, let go. You know, when he's not rocking, we have
it's no.
Yeah, we have pretty much.
We're gonna go back to your neck of the woods. Talk about the Miami Heat a little bit. Might have to pour out some liquor on the Miami Heat. Yo, I know how it is on a national scale. I can only imagine how it is in South Florida. They are at Pat Riley's neck right now, talking about, is this the end of Heat culture? He's lost the plot. What are they going to do this summer? There's no free agents that are like really appealing since Luka's like is off the market now, and like maybe KD is not as like isn't as fruitful as maybe people think just because of his age. All of these things, the draft picks, all of these things. And I'm going to steal because I'm about to go on a Tate Frazier show later today that we're taping. I think that's coming on Wednesday. And I was looking at the rundown, and they said, "Is this the end of Heat culture as we know it, Raja Bell?" So I'm going to steal that. I'm going to ask you that question right now. Are we there?
No. I mean, I don't believe that we have to be at the end of Heat culture. I think foundationally they laid that the right way. I think it can last if it's not driven into the ground right now, if that makes sense. So you have people in that building who've been brought up in it. You have people in that building who have lived it, who were developed in it. It can continue to be, but now is a critical juncture in whether or not that's possible or not. And by that I mean, like, they need a freshness of it. It can be Heat culture, but there's got to be a fresh new delivery of it in some way.
Yeah.
I don't. Pat Riley is on the Mount Rushmore of like, NBA basketball, right? Like to some degree, if we're gonna not, I mean, like he's just for everything that he's meant to the game. I want to give him flowers, but you're 80 years old.
Yeah.
You still look fly sitting up in the box, dog. Still dapper. Still
Got that $5,000 suit on.
Yeah, still looking good and everything. But like this is, we're at a spot now where they need a spark. They need an infusion, and it's just getting long in the tooth. Like no pun intended. But it can exist. It can continue to exist, Logan. Like that foundation was laid solid. But now hand the baton to somebody.
Yeah, because there's just things that are happening that shouldn't necessarily be happening. And it's kind of poetic when that last night happened, right? Because you see the Heat get their ass kicked at the hands of the Cavs. And then on the same night, you see Jimmy Butler get the rebound of the night and probably one of the rebounds of the playoffs. So impressive. And like you see how good he's been. The Warriors are 26-8 with Jimmy, and then you've seen the free fall that Miami had post trade, and there's no shade on that. That happens with teams, right? But then you look at what could have been, where clearly you and Jimmy are on the outs at the end of last season. Why drag this on and get this trade so late? You don't really get much for him. I guess you get Andrew Wiggins and some picks, but like it's not the haul that you would think that you would get, right? Maybe in hindsight is always 2020. Maybe you make that trade in the summertime, right? Just get that headache out of the way before training camp. Not even have to deal with this. And like, Jimmy Butler's great now, but like that was a really taxing time for Miami last summer.
Yeah, and sorry to interrupt. I want you to continue because I just want to add to that. I was in gyms last summer, and I'm pretty sure I said it on the pod, where the writing was already on the wall for that.
You said it on the pod. I'm pretty sure you said it on the pod.
In the organization were like, that's not going to work. It's over. So you knew it back then.
Yeah, and then so on that, he continues to say, we're going to make it work. After he said some really damning things, not necessarily like from a front office standpoint, like we love it. We would love to see the honesty and transparency that a front office feels towards their players. But like you put Jimmy in an awkward position where he's like trying to get a deal and you're like, whether it's fair or not, talking about him and his contract and alluding to that in public, that doesn't really go well for the NBA players, right? Like, or athletes in general, or honestly employees in general when you talk about their money, right? And so it very clearly was doomed then. And then you put yourself in a position now like where there aren't the free agents. And one thing that Miami Heat has been really able to do, and I think this is really a model on how to like sustain, is like they have a never say die attitude. They're never going to rebuild. They're going to retool under Pat Riley. But now, like, I feel like there's really no choice right now. Like, they kind of have to. The team is who it is right now. They have Bam Adebayo, who said there's going to be some major changes this summer. And then you have Tyler Hero. But what else do you have? Is that that's a 48-win team if everything goes right? Like, what do? You go try to get Giannis, but you don't have the assets to do that, right? I just don't know. Pat Riley for so long has been able to pull the rabbit out the hat, and I just don't know if the rabbit going to come out right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't have their contracts in front of me or what their draft capital looks like or anything like that. So this is just me. Let's address like Pat Riley's bedside manner in terms of dealing with star players and what he will or will not air, in what laundry he will or will not air in the press and the way he treats stars, right? Like the whole Heat culture, mantra is built on, accountability, discipline, things like that, right? Draw a comparison to like parenting. When we came up, our parents were away, right? Like you get your ass popped. considerably. Like there were ramifications for some of the transgressions, right? When they came up, it was probably even wilder than that. Like the way
when
we
Pat
raised
came
kids,
up, it was wild.
But like I say that to say that as we parent now, like I do it differently. I still would like to think that I hold my kids accountable and there's discipline in our house and we're raising good people, but we don't do it the same way because the world has changed. People have changed. We've learned. Like, so that's where I find that the Heat organization and Pat Riley, like no one's saying that we can't lose our integrity as it relates to dealing with stars and bending over backwards and capitulating to their every demand and X, Y, and Z. But there is a way that you do it with today's player that doesn't necessarily like fit all the time with the way Pat wants to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so let's just start there. Right. And now as you get into like, you know, their roster and the makeup of it, and always wanting to be competitive, you know, I don't begrudge you that all the time. I'm on here saying like I kind of love it. Like it's kind of I kind of dig it, except it just puts you in a space where eventually it might not happen right now. It might not happen next year, but eventually you're screwed.
Yeah.
The noose just keeps tightening, dude. Like if you're not wriggling out of that. Yeah. And so that's kind of where we find ourselves. So like there is a point where you have to say, all right, no, we cannot do that. Like that we've taken this road as far as it goes. And I'm not talking about
this is
Pat
you subbing
specifically.
the Phoenix Suns, basically. So you subbing the Phoenix Suns is essentially.
But let's like we're too far down this road and we see the dead end.
Yeah.
Like, are we going to drive the car into it or off the cliff? Or are we going to like, hey, let's get off the road right now?
Yeah, man. And that's what's the tough part is about being ultra as competitive as Pat Riley is, right? I ain't taking no L's. I'm not taking any L's. I'd rather go to the playoffs after LeBron leaves than tear it down the studs. And he did it, and it was very entertaining when he did do it. But like,
you win in a lot of battles to lose wars, though, dog.
Yeah, but losing them battles to him is like, well, we got to the finals twice. Shit, we weren't supposed to, but we did it.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, some battles go down in history, some don't. Right? So like you want some nice battles, but like ultimately we're trying to win the war. And so, you know, like there's got to be a level of like there's got to a level of understanding and you know, quite frankly, from above, someone's going to have to figure out exactly what they want.
Yeah. It's tough in Miami, but y'all got the weather. You'll be fine. You know, he'll be all right. It's okay. Like, because here's the thing, man. When you ask me, is Heat culture over with? No, because it never dies. The mindset never dies. It's just, you know, you got to switch it up. You know, you got to switch up. In order to grow, you got to let go. I said it all the time.
That's it. And again, he's raised, or the organization's raised, or however you want to say it, they've raised individuals within that building that will continue the legacy of Heat culture. It's not even debatable. They will. But at some point, you've raised them. Like, look, man, how old? I'm 48. How old's Alonzo now?
She's like in the 50s. Has to be, right? He older than you, right?
You don't think Alonzo's ready? I mean, and maybe it's not Alonzo. Maybe it's. I don't know what Alonzo's job ultimately is in that building, but there are people that have been by his side longer than Alonzo. Like they're ready.
55.
But you understand what I'm saying, right? It might not be Alonzo
sure.
because maybe his job isn't, you know, full scope of general managing, right? That's possible. So if it's not him, that's fine. But you can find other people within that organization that were raised, that have been right at his right hand the whole time with these decision-making processes throughout them and the trades, and they've been privy to all of this. They were raised in the culture that are probably ready to take the helm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they decide not to, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, that's
like maybe it's Andy Ellisberg. Like he's been the number 2 behind underneath Pat Riley. Has all the institutional knowledge. He's made the trades. He's been great. He's been the general manager for the past 28 years. I mean, or has been in that organization for the last 28 years. Maybe it's him.
Maybe.
But the fact
I don't know.
is, they got to find that answer.
I don't know Andy. Do you know Andy?
I don't know Andy.
He's the numbers guy though, right? He's that. Does he?
Yeah.
Like he might not have the.
Also, I'm gonna
personality.
make a comparison here. How it feels between Andy and Pat. It's like Cash Money. Like how Baby and Slim are. He feels like the Slim of this organization. Baby's the out front guy. He got all the bread. He's the one that's making sure that you get the Cash Money messaging.
Yeah.
Slim is more in the cut, chilling, making sure the business is handled. That's what it seems like 3,000 miles away.
Well, that's why I said Lonzo, like just a heat state, like personality, charisma. There are things like that go along, and Andy, someone can always be the numbers guy and be the backbone of it, but like you got to have somebody out front that's got that.
Maybe it's
je ne sais quoi.
You're on a sick one, man.
Is that a thing? It is a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know what it means, but I heard it on a Sergio Mendes song, and it sounded beautiful. I'm gonna send you, hey, bro.
Frank the Tank. That was like Frank the Tank. You ever seen Old School?
Hell yeah.
Where he's up there against the Raging Cajun, and he just jumps into like the fucking the economic like debate, and then he snaps out of it. That was my Frank the Tank moment.
I'm gonna send you some Sergio Mendes so you can get a glass of wine, and just just look at the Florida sun and just chill, man. Listen to some Brazilian bossa nova.
There we go.
You know what I mean? Say a quick break. The Ringer NBA show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are finally here, and if you think you know how it's all going to go down, then make those predictions pay off with FanDuel and their same-game parlay profit boost. Just build your perfect parlay, activate the boost, lock in your bet, and if it hits, there's a bigger payout for you at no extra cost. Let's take a look at the slates. I am going to go with the Pacers to close out the series against the Bucks. I'm going to take Tyrese Halliburton over on assists and rebounds, but under on points. Let's look at the Pistons-Knicks. I think I'm going to take the Pistons outright on that one. I'm going to take the over on Cade Cunningham points, assists, and rebounds. Magic-Celtics, I'm going to take the over on fouls, and I'm going to take the over on points for Jason Tatum, and I think I'm going to take the Celtics to clinch that series. Clippers-Nuggets, I'm going to take the Nuggets on this one, and I'm going to take the over on Nikola Jokic's points, rebounds, and assists. Does that sound good? Well, you can score an even bigger dub because FanDuel's giving you a profit boost for all of tonight's action. Don't just be a spectator this postseason. Head to FanDuel.com/RingerNBA to download America's #1 sportsbook and make every moment more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 years and older and present in select states, or 18 and older and present in D.C. Opt-in required. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Somebody else is getting slander in these streets. One, Luka Doncic, who down the stretch of Game 4 played less defense than me, which is saying a lot, right? And I think part of that can be, we could talk about the semantics of JJ Redick playing his starters a whole 24 minutes of the second half, which is nuts. Didn't even get him a blow at the like a 2-minute blow between quarters. But everybody's saying right now that, and I know Kendrick Perkins, friend of the show, he's going to go out on a limb, said that Nico Harrison is somewhere smiling right now because Luka is proving everything he said right. Where are we with Luka Doncic right now? Is it time to do our yearly crash out on Luka Doncic right now? Is that what we're supposed to be? I mean, he's getting targeted down the stretch of games again, defensively. I think it's a bit more nuanced than that, but hey, let's indulge the timeline. What do we think of Luka Doncic at this moment in time? And should the blame of this series go on him after Game 4 if the Lakers lose?
No, the blame shouldn't go to Luka. And I'm not I'm not taking the bait. I'm not crashing out on Luka. This is Luka. What are we witnessing from Luka that wasn't already known? He's fantastic offensively. He's as good in the league as there is at orchestrating. I mean, you're up there with a very few amount of people that can, I've said this before, just move all of the puppet strings. Like, he's got his own puppet show going on out there. That's phenomenal, and it's brilliant. There are other things that, when you couple with that, would leave you wanting more sometimes. Defense is certainly one of them. But, I mean, we've had phenomenal players in the league before that weren't great defensive players. You know, shape is another one. Like, what type of fitness level do you have? And that, I think, is the most important one, because that affects your ability to do, you know, an adequate job on defense. But I'm not blaming Luka for that. Like, I you know, this is, to some degree, what Nico was talking about. It's exactly what he was talking about. Now, that doesn't mean that he was right for pulling the trigger on the trade, but like this is what he was saying, and we all knew this, and we all said, yeah, we got that, but that trade's still dumb. Like, so I'm not blaming Luka for that. Like, they were right there. They had a chance to win the game. You know, I watched Get Up this morning, and I saw my buddies Jay, Will, and Booze up there, and when posed the question about JJ Redick, they hopped, skipped, and jumped around it, like, you know, and those are my dogs. But like, yes, dude, like, JJ made the call, and he probably, you know, any coaching call is a roll of the dice. You don't know whether that's going to work or not work. And then you've got to be responsible for it at the end of it, whether you're getting the praise for the outcome because you won and it bore fruit, or if it doesn't work and you lose, you got to take the criticism for it. And he's got to take the medicine. He's got to take the criticism. That's unheard of, not giving them rest at any
in a playoff
point
game
in time. It's unheard of. And so I could understand your logic. I mean, I haven't spoken to JJ. Like, there's a world where if you explain to me, like, you know, you couldn't give him a 2-minute blow though, Raja. Like, come on, dude. No. Listen, I'm not excusing it, because what I'm saying to you is I could understand where you were coming from. Like, because my basketball mind is open, where you could make an argument for that, and I would still at the end of that argument say I'm not co-signing on that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think also another thing, right, with JJ's decision making, and I want to preface this by saying, like, JJ has been really, really good this season. So good to the point where you don't really, like, kind of hides the fact that he's still a first-year coach in the postseason, right? So he's just going to try stuff, and it's going to not work, and he's going to figure it out. I trust that in him. He's shown us enough to do that. But when you play your guys that much, and you play a guy like Luka that much, and I know he's getting huge criticism from his defensive, whatever happened defensively, including on programs on this site, and rightfully so. But I think this time, the defensive effort, at least where he sits now, conditionally, and I'm not trying to post him too much bail, because he do need to get his conditioning together, but I feel like that's a symptom of being dog tired at the end of a playoff game, which is after your coach plays you 24 straight minutes, right? Like, you're going to be tired.
You're taking a less than average defensive player,
running him into the mud
when he is in shape, mind you.
Yeah.
You're taking one who isn't known for defense when in condition, who is currently not in great condition, and then playing him until the rubber meets the road. No, he's not going to be a stand-up defender late in the game. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and so, so that's what I think about the criticism. He was not put in a good position to, you know, even be a below-average defender in this game. So that's that. I do want to give some, I just feel bad for LeBron, bro. Like, this is tough. I think about the Game 3 performance that was wasted, and a lot of that had to do. And another thing, like, Luka's coming off food poisoning or whatever he had, right? He had some sort of sickness. I think it was food poisoning. I think that's what it was, but I don't want to.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was
thing.
food poisoning.
Some stomach.
It's a stomach thing, right? It's a stomach thing. And so, like, and they were still in the game. The Lakers, it's one of those really rough series that when you play really well in a game, you're in every single game, and you lose in 5. That's the toughest series to lose because you very well could have been in a series every game. But I feel bad for LeBron because it seems like now as he's getting older, every game that you get from him, like game 3, it feels like a waste if you lose it. More so than ever, right? And I feel bad because there was a world in this where, I mean, I had the Lakers going to the finals. What was I thinking? But there was a world where they could get out of the series, play the Lakers, or play the Warriors, probably get through that, I think, because I think they would be favored, and rightfully so, and get to the conference finals again, and then anything happens. We'll see what happens. But now, like, I think about LeBron's tenure in Los Angeles, and it's been, for the most part, play-in, first-round exit. You know, there was a conference finals. That was good when they were the 7th seed, but they had to go into a play-in to get to that. It's been tough for him. And I feel bad for him in this series, especially after Game 4.
Yeah, it's tough. And I'm fascinated. I mean, did LeBron co-sign it? You have to imagine LeBron co-signed at some point on. I wonder if that was a Saturday conversation. Hey, Bron, because LeBron had an otherworldly performance on Friday night. This was a short turnaround, like you talked about Luka's stomach. But like, I'm wondering if Saturday, JJ said, "Hey, Bron, I'm toying with the idea of not," or if that was just on the fly. Like, I'm fascinated by it because everything I know about LeBron. I mean, I know he does whatever he has to do to win a game, but he's also very, very conscious of making sure he gets the rest that he needs and that he's taking care of himself so he can be productive in the biggest moments. And so, I mean, that's just a fascinating one to me. You're not wrong in that those are brutal series where you could look back at a 5-game series and say 7 points cost us this entire series. Like those are tough to stomach. Those are physical. And Golden State is a better fight style for the Lakers. Yeah. Even if it was a second round, right? They're a better fight style. Like Minnesota's big, physical, young.
They're
like
big and they're long. Like they have athleticism. Like they're young. Oof.
They have, I mean, relatively speaking, right? Like your alpha is young. And so that is a tougher, I think, matchup for the Lakers. And you know, the question, I think, but when they made the trade, most of us acknowledged that, yeah, they had a puncher's chance, but next year was going to be where they have to get it right.
I think we said this, and I think I got caught up in a moment in the backstretch of the season because I thought they were playing so well. But I think when the trade went down, I think we thought about this, we said this with the Warriors too, if they get to the second round, that's a win. Like, I think that's a win for the trade. I think that's a win for what they were doing. Because, I mean, when we had Howard on, he was like, I don't know what this Lakers team is going to be. Like, are they going to be good? Are they going to make the playoffs? Are they going to figure it out? Like, I don't know. And we were like, and I just was like, LeBron and Luka.
Yeah.
I got to trust them, but we'll see what happens. But I do think that they have, relative to expectations, have done pretty well. It's just like LeBron is just getting a year older. I just don't know how many more years he has left in the tank.
They have to get it. They have to get it right next year. Like,
they have to get it right next year. I want to talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves, even if it's for 5 to 10 minutes really quickly. The maturation of Anthony Edwards has just been astounding. Like, one of the things that I was really concerned about going into this series was how he's going to manage a game. You know, and I think that it takes, no matter how great you are to start your career, it takes a minute to be able to, you know, unless like you're Luka, it takes a while to find both your individual game and then the individual game of others, and then also quarterback the whole thing. And I feel like Ant is turning the corner on that, man. And like, he's getting the scoring opportunities, and he's also getting other guys involved. He's also passing out of double teams. He's also making the right shots. You could tell that like, the difference between Ant right now and say a Ja is you can tell that Ant has been working on his game in different scenarios in the offseason. I wrote a story on him last summer, and it really talked about how he matured as a worker, right? And it wasn't that he doesn't work hard. It was that, like, you kind of just have to figure out how to do it, right? Doing the 2-a-days in the off season, making sure that it's not just like you're fucking around and just shooting threes and like, oh, I'm done, but like being very intentional. And you see that how methodical that he has been in the postseason because he's been very intentional with his workouts and work habits. And I'm really happy to see him on the other side of that right now, Rob.
Yeah, you stole my thunder on that, but good for you, because that's the word. It's intentional work, right? Detailed work, purposeful work, and it's understanding why. Like, that's, the combination of those things is in large part the biggest part of someone's development. Right? Like, going back and seeing where we struggled, where we fell short, what was happening to us. Like, how were they able to do this to me? Okay, understand that. How do I need to work, and what skills do I need to work on so that doesn't happen again? And then, really figuring out how you deploy them. And to the point about Luka had pro experience coming in.
Yeah.
Luka had been working those things in a way that our college kids don't really work them for a while before he got into the NBA. So he was advanced. He had a head start on that. But it is cool to see Ant continuing to grow and develop, and he's looking fantastic. But that's what, we live in a society now where, and maybe I was so young back then that I just wasn't paying attention to the type of criticism that the MJs of the world were getting, and some of those players before they were able to win championships. But I feel like back then it wasn't always a narrative on someone's career if they didn't succeed right away, like in the way that it is today. It's an indictment if you can't get it done the first time on what your career will ultimately be. Your legacy is defined because you ain't win it in year 2 or 3. And realistically, that's not realistic.
Jordan didn't win it till year 8, I think, or he was 28 when he won it.
Yeah, it takes some time, bro. It takes some getting over the hump. It takes falling on your face. It takes failing. It takes the trial and the error. It takes the embarrassment. All those things go into your being, and they fuel that intentional work you're talking about, right? And so, yeah, it is cool to watch, man. Give him his flowers. They need to close this shit out, though.
That's going to be the big test. That's going to be, and also another thing that I'm like really impressed with Ant, and I think that's going to. Let's give him not an edge in the conversation between him and Luka, because I think that's going to be the next great rivalry that we have, especially if they stay in the same conference. But like a notch under your belt early in your career to not only beat LeBron early in your career, to beat LeBron and Luka, like that's something that Ja can't say. That's something that Luka can't say. He's never beat LeBron.
Yeah,
I mean, not to say Luka hasn't beaten dudes, but he's beaten KD. He's beaten LeBron. If he wins this, beats LeBron and Luka. That's a stripe on his belt, bro. Like, and then if he goes and beats Steph next round, like this could be a little run going on here. This might be premature talking about this, but like this could be really impressive from Ant. And even if he doesn't win a championship, a real like early notch, like, oh, okay, this dude is serious.
Well,
like really serious.
Both things can be true. It can be premature, right? But it could also be true that if it should shake down like that, yeah, absolutely. If you're knocking off Luka, LeBron, and Jimmy and Steph, and we're again, yeah,
a year after you just knocked out KD,
premature for sure. But like, yeah, now you're starting to solidify that, hey, face of the league type of conversation, right? Now you're starting to really put your stamp on stuff like that. Here's the other thing. It came, Perk, friend of the show, like I did hear some of what he said. Like anybody, I agree with some stuff. I don't fully agree with other stuff, but one of his points about what Ant does and doesn't get credit for on all the time, the defensive side of the floor, is a real separator. Like it's a real separator. Because we often just acknowledge how brilliant someone is offensively. And I get it. Like, you got to score points to win. Like, that's what everybody wants to see and stuff like that. But, man, when one of those dudes who are that brilliant on the offensive side of the floor couples it with being a gangster on the defensive side of the floor, like Shea and Ant, like that's really cool.
that's why, and we probably won't have enough time to talk about it, but we'll talk about it on Friday. But that's what makes Kawhi so fucking potent when he's great. Like,
yeah.
I'll just say this: we haven't talked much Kawhi in like about a week, but man, it's been great to see him back. And it's also like we're getting the series between the Nuggets and the Clippers that we've always wanted, even though both Nuggets wins have been on some wild fluke shit. Like wild fluke shit. Still a fun series, man. Like still been. Let's do it. You want to talk about?
I want to talk. No,
let's
not
go.
that
Let's
necessarily.
Go.
No, I don't want. I wanted to talk about. I didn't know if you were going to take me to this, but like, and I don't really have a rant, but I just find it interesting how many late game either fouls or you kind of teed me up last time we were on about the Detroit backcourt type of foul, and then their next game comes down to a no call on Timmy Hardaway.
Let's talk to the no call real quick. I haven't talked to you about it yet. So, like, when I first saw it, I don't know. Did you want to talk about that or just like the overall?
No, just over. Final? We could talk about that, but even then, LeBron, like that out of bounds, and when it was happening, I was sitting there with my man and our wives. We were out having sushi. We were kind of watching it on the phone because I'll come back and watch it the next morning. And I said to him because he's like kind of a Lakers fan, and I was like, he said something definitely off of. I said, yeah, man, but they can actually now go back and call a foul on that shit. I was like, watch them call a fucking foul.
Wild.
And then they called the foul. Like,
I don't like that shit, bro. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't like that shit. And like the challenges to call a foul, like that don't feel like hoop to me, Raja. And I know that's probably like cool. I know that's like growing the game. But also you got to think, last night I fucking sat through like 4 reviews in a quarter. Like, we need to figure out this review shit. We need to figure it out because we still getting the shit wrong too, right? Like we're getting the call, like the foul calls right, but like I don't like that. I don't like that.
Was Jimmy Butler's like again? Was Jimmy Butler's? Did Dylan Brooks foul him on the 3? Was that?
I don't know.
There just been so many questionable
real
ones.
Time though. It didn't like, and that's with the so. When the Jimmy thing happened, we were all sure that shit was going to get overturned. Like that didn't look like a foul in real time on the call. There's so many other things. Me and Cliff talked it through for a little bit. Cliff, come on real quick. Let's talk about the call, and I do want to talk about Dame real quick and pour out some liquor for him before we get out of here. But let's talk through with Cliff. So on the final play of the Detroit Knicks game. I think me and you were texting. Me and Cliff be texting all the time now, Raja. Like, I'd be like sitting in fucking West Coast, like G-Funk all the time at like 2 a.m. and shit. And then we just talk through all the games. But like in the moment, I think we were texting through that last finish. And I was like kind of cool with the ending in Detroit. Like, I was fine with it because I was just like, all my life growing up, like the refs never put it in the refs' hands. And it felt like bro from Detroit jumped into Josh Hart a little bit, and I was cool. Tim Hardaway Jr. And I was like, I mean, like I'm fine with that. It's cool. But the more NBA players that I've talked to, been like, Logan, you're full of shit. That was a fucking foul. They should have called it. Stop fucking playing. So I'm bringing that to the panel, and I'm full of shit, right? Like I should just
unquestionable foul. Unquestionable foul.
Yes.
So what I thought was like, hey man, you don't put it in the ref's hands, especially back then.
You're right. You're right. Like Jason Hart, I mean not Jason Hart, but Josh Hart should have definitely not put it in the ref's hands by jumping his ass over there and fouling. He did.
He flew like Superman, right, Raj? Didn't he flew like Superman in the air like that? Left his feet. Tim Hardaway Jr. hit the up fake, and clearly Josh Hart body hit Tim Hardaway Jr.'s shooting side, and it should have been 3 shots. And then the refs walked off. JB Bickerstaff looked like he was about to sock one of the refs. And Detroit
came out of it.
Yo, that security held it up against you know how at the end of the game the refs get the security walk out back to their locker room to get dressed and then leave and all that? That Detroit security got there so fast, man. Them refs had to get right out of there. And then the stupid 2-minute report came out, which validated
what I hate, Cliff, that's what I hate. I hate the 2-minute report. Yeah, I hate it.
It validated what I thought. And it's like, bro, it's now pointless because it's like, what does Detroit do with that information? Yeah, we lost the game now. What am I going to do with that? We're even more mad. Yeah, you can't make that up.
You can't miss that call.
Yeah, you can't miss that call. And now Detroit, there's nothing they can do about it. They just lose the game. They should have
now they're down 3-1.
Down 1.
This is first of all, that ref is standing 4 feet away from that on that baseline, like standing right there. Those are the best refs on the planet. As much shit as I give them, they have the best trained eye of anyone reffing basketball anywhere. They're fantastic with what there's no way you miss that call. And here is my ultimate beef. If we can go back on an out of bounds play and retroactively call a foul, there's no recourse for you guys missing that at that point in the game. That to me doesn't make sense.
And the reason why it wasn't reviewed is because it wasn't called a foul. He should have just called a foul just to protect his ass. I don't know why he didn't do that.
Yeah, that doesn't, but I'm not even, like, the system then doesn't make sense to me. If I can find myself in a situation where a loose ball will retroactively get me screwed or rewarded on a subjective, like, barely touch foul, and you guys are going to not be able to review an end of the game foul like that, I don't have the answer, not that smart. But that system seems broken.
And real quick, it's only reviewable if you have the review. And JD Bickerstaff used the review in like the first quarter on some stupid, I don't know, like question.
If they're going to copy the NFL, then why don't we just have like mandatory reviews in the last minute?
Look, the last thing you want to see is what happened that second quarter to that Warriors-Rockets game.
In the fourth quarter. I don't have a true, like, I just know I don't like it. I don't like the current thing that we're in right now.
So again, if we're going to be in the world where we can't, there's no recourse for what happened to Tim Hardaway Jr. Okay, I'll live in that world. But then let's not have the other ones either, though. Like, let's not have what happened in let's hoop.
It's hoop.
You know what I mean? Let's hoop.
I thought so that's my argument with like how I felt initially. I was just like, it's hoop, bro. Like, the last 5 seconds of a game, if they didn't call it, then like that's just what it is, bro. Because that's typically how refs, they typically just put it in the player's hands. That's typically how it
silent. But to me, the whistle stays silent for like boxing out and maybe a little bit of a hip check or something like that, but not you flying in the air, you affecting my shot.
I also don't like, I mean, like, I didn't know we were going all the way here, but I don't like the review on fouls in general.
And no, I don't like that.
I don't like
LeBron call on Ant Edwards. I hated that shit got called a foul. I guess we just found a foul. In the playoffs, you're going to find that in every fucking play.
Almost every clip you break down, like out of bounds plays, I get it. Cut and dry. Your ball, our ball. But like anything you slow down that involves 2 people in an NBA game, you know, not anything, but most things in slow motion are going, you could, if you want to, say, oh yeah, that was a foul. He just, you know, that was contact. Like, you could rationalize giving a foul. And so once you start getting into the weeds, I don't know where you stop. So that's my point. Like, play ball. Like, let's less with the fouls and debating over, like, you know, and like let's clean it up. Loose balls, ball out of bounds, and let's keep it moving.
Yeah. All right. I was really sad.
Still Detroit, though. Shout out to Detroit. 3-1-3. You're gonna make this comeback. Still Detroit.
Another team exactly where they probably should be in this, right? Like,
it's just funny that like somehow fucking Cliff is from Philly but went to like Cass Tech or some shit in Detroit. He out here just repping. Like repping. It's wild.
He has lately claimed Detroit.
He's been claiming Detroit.
But real talk.
Victoria out here fucking claiming all fucking teams in California. It's just ridiculous, this fandom here. Like, she's over here, she says, I'm a Steph fan and a LeBron fan and a Luka fan, Laker fan, and UCLA fan and USC fan all in the same sentence. It's ridiculous. It's nuts. It is nuts. She's not going to talk on this podcast, but we got to take her to task in front of the real ones. Anyways, I was really sad last night, man. Like, the Dame injury just really got me in my feelings, dog. Not gonna lie. And a lot of it, I'm gonna say, is just being from Oakland and being from the Bay. But that shit hurt really, like, a lot. And we're gonna talk about the ramifications and what's to come for Milwaukee in the coming weeks. But that just felt like one of those things that's just shitty for the game, you know?
Yeah, man.
Like, in all ways, it hurts, Ra. It just hurts. I don't have anything else to say other than that, but it just that shit hurt to watch that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't have a lot to add to that. Like, for someone who's been as good as Dame has for as long as he's been, at this point in the career too, to like, with an injury like that, yeah, that was hard to watch.
Yeah. Let's pour out a little liquor for Dame, man. You know, play some fucking Dame Dollar and Rex Life Raj. I don't have anything more to say. Just I wanted to acknowledge that it fucking sucks that he's hurt, and just a sad season from the Milwaukee Bucks all the way around. But on a happier note, the Raiders got a really good pick, and I think they really had a really great draft. So, you know,
that was interesting.
On that.
Yeah, that was interesting.
You got any thoughts? Wait, quickly. Quickly.
Nah, I ain't about to get into all of that.
No.
It was an interesting weekend.
You have no Shador thoughts. You have absolutely no Shador thoughts.
I am happy for every single person that got to live a lifelong dream of getting drafted into the NFL, and for all of those who signed as free agents like I had to. Hey, kudos to y'all, man. Make the most of those opportunities.
Sorry, real ones. Me, Victoria, Ben, and Cliff are going to get the real tea after the pod. We're going to get Roger's real feelings on this.
No tea? There's no tea. It was like, I mean, hey, bro.
All right. Shout out Cam Ward, though. Shout out Cam Ward.
No doubt. Hurricanes.
You know what I mean? All right. That's been another edition of Real Ones. We got to an hour. We got Roger. Roger said, by the way, he's only going to do 20 minutes of this podcast because he was so fucking fed up. He doesn't have his Bluetooth headphones, ladies and gentlemen. He's fed up. I finally got him on the wave, and he can't connect his shits.
I mean, I have him. I just couldn't get him to connect. Now, I don't even like. I actually got in a good mood podding with you today, bro. You about to send me back off the pod?
Love you, buddy. I got love for you. Never mind. All right. That's been another edition of Real Ones Tuesday Vibes. Me and Ra. Man, I've been listening to a lot of Philly shit, you know, low in the place to be, and I got what it takes to rock the mic right. Yeah.
Oh.
Better watch what you say to me, Trick, because I got what it takes to rock the mic right. Yeah. All right. That was Roger Bell. I'm Lolo. Cliff on the boards. Victoria on the video. We will see you guys with Howard motherfucking Beck on Friday. The curmudgeon himself is back in the building. Let's fucking go. Talk to y'all soon. All this shit's bye. Must be 21 years and older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and older and present in D.C. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.